Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday, January 26th meeting of the Plano West Rotary Club. I am your president, Alex Johnson, and to kick off our meeting, I'm going to turn it over to our Sergeant of Arms and new treasurer, Mike Walker. Take it away, Mike.
Hey, thanks for Glenn for all his help Monday, getting me squared up on that. And that's a good segue into asking Glenn if he has a brag buck for today.
Well, it's a continued brag. We're still babysitting our 4.5-month-old granddaughter on Thursdays and Fridays. So
she's adorable.
So that's quite a handful. I'm pretty tuckered at the end of Thursday night and Friday night, but that's still a brag. We look forward to that. We're squeezing everything into Monday through Wednesday, but Thursdays and Fridays are fun.
Thank you. Michelle, since you're sitting to his left, you want to give us a brag this morning?
Sure. I'm excited because I got to see my daughter this morning and have coffee and breakfast because she needed to bring me items for our Valentine's surprises for lonely senior citizens. So after we ate breakfast, we went over to the Wellness Center and dropped off a whole bunch of goodies for them, took a couple pictures so we can post it later. And they were very happy to receive that and said that the seniors, it really does perk up their days. So we're excited.
I'll be dropping my stuff off after our meeting today.
Oh, great. Thank you.
You bet. Tom, you have a brag for us today? I'm not sure if he looks like he's frozen solid.
He
hey, Tom, are you there? Anyway, Zane, how about you? While Tom, there he is. Tom, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. You have a brag?
Oh, yes, I do. I got my first shot last week, waiting on number 2.
Woohoo!
Well, congrats on that. Yeah, I heard they got 10,000 vaccines in Collin County. That's a start. Thanks,
Yeah,
Tom.
I got mine in Dallas.
Oh, did you? Hey, Zane, you ever brag today?
Yeah, we put our house on the market like last Thursday and we got a whole bunch of interest right away. Like within probably 7 hours, we had maybe 10, 15 people who were lined up for showing the appointment. So we're kind of finalizing what offer we're going to go with. But yeah, it's good. Good news.
All right, thank you.
Awesome.
Alex, do you ever brag?
Oh, my brag is I finally got that Facebook watch party online quickly. Usually it takes me about 10 minutes to get it to work, so yay. Real brag, I had a computer crash a few weeks ago, and because I needed to teach, I had to buy a temp computer so I could get through my week of teaching, and took it back, and I finally rebuilt my normal computer. So I'm happy to kind of be back to normal because my wife can tell you my office has been full of office equipment for the last few weeks. So that's a brag.
Thank you. Eileen, you ever brag today?
Well, I'm just thrilled that we have a wonderful State Department speaker, Dan, to be with you all. And I'm just happy that you all are welcoming the U.S. Department of State into your meeting. Thank you.
How's the weather? Where exactly are you located at?
I'm in Arlington, Virginia, and the weather is yucky. It snowed and iced and everything overnight, but it really doesn't matter since I'm working from home. The glory of it is I don't have to go outside and take the subway and try to walk down the icy street. So that's a good thing.
Thanks for sharing that. Lisa, you ever brag this afternoon?
Yeah, I guess I'll brag. My husband and I are going to go to lake. I didn't even know that there was a lake in Granbury. We're going to go stay on Lake Granbury.
Oh, yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So looking forward to just being out of this house.
Yeah.
Going to another house.
That'll be fun. Laura, do you have a brag this morning?
Well, I think. Well, I think this is a brag. Our oldest daughter sounds like it's definitely going to go to college. We just aren't sure exactly which college, but she's on that path. So we're excited about that. So between now and June, we'll know.
Thank you. Thank you. John, do you ever brag this morning?
Well, I have 4 avocado seeds that I'm sitting there trying to get to turn into plants, and the first one of them had its first sprout come out today. So I'm happy about that. And for Eileen, this was, if you look at my background, that's this is from 2 weeks ago. That's the first snowfall that we had in the DFW in 4 years. And everything that you see there was all melted within the next half hour after I had taken that shot.
Thank you. Mr. Holyman, you ever brag this morning?
You're on mute.
You're on mute there. I can see his lips moving.
You're still muted. We can't hear you.
This ventriloquist act.
Can
Must
you
be on
write it
his
down and can you write it on a piece of paper and hold it up to the?
Hey, Glenn Thornton.
Well, we'll pass and come back if you get your video going there. Good to see you. Clarence, you ever brag this morning?
I'll just pass today. Just getting a car window fixed.
All right.
And it went out on me the other day, so I had to wear a big shield when I went into the car thing to keep from freezing to death this morning, since I had the window wide open.
That's
With a ski jacket on, I survived. They'll get the window fixed today.
Hey, Clarence, have you and your wife gotten your vaccine yet?
What?
Have you gotten your vaccine yet?
No, I haven't. I had to find some damn place where they have it rather than discriminating against us.
Tom may help you there.
Okay.
All right, Catherine, you ever brag?
Actually, I have a little one. My husband Thomas taught his first class at Cullen College last night and succeeded in not behaving like the guy that says, "Get off my lawn." I've been teasing him about that. It's been a while since our kids have been home, so it's like, okay, now, you got to communicate with these folks a little bit differently, and so he was successful and also managed to. He's teaching asynchronous, which means so Collin College is doing various ways, and this means he's actually physically had a couple of students who wanted to come to class that he taught on campus, and everybody else was online. So Collin College is still going strong. It was a database class, so folks are interested in bringing up their skills. So that's a good thing.
Hey, thank you. Courtney, do you ever brag?
Well, actually, I think it's kind of a brag that Catherine and I share. We got news from Alex that because of an organization that we're involved in, Wow Dems, that somebody became a new member. So we're I think that's a good brag. We're very excited about that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Taha, do you ever brag?
Yesterday, Zane helped me make a LinkedIn yesterday, I guess. That's a brag.
So you got LinkedIn yesterday is what you're saying?
Can you hear me?
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, Zane helped me with that.
Mr. Lawton, I see you're there. You ever brag today?
Yes, I do. I get my first COVID shot Thursday morning. Those of you that have a Baylor Scott and White account should be checking your messages on the account. That's how I got mine. They reached out to me. So check your Baylor Scott and White app to see if you got a notice.
Or your My Chart.
Yeah, that's part of it, I believe.
Well, it depends on the hospital. But UT Southwestern uses My Chart, so does Methodist.
I think we got time for.
The name of their app. I'm talking about the Baylor Scott and White one.
I think we'll wrap up with Dan. Dan, do you have a brag for us?
Actually, Mike, we got till 12:15 today.
Okay.
Thank you all for having me. My dad always says, be careful not to pat yourself. You break your arm patting yourself on the back too hard. So that's his way of always reminding me to be humble. But I did take up baking a little bit during the pandemic, and I made for Christmas I got a cookbook or a baking book called Bread from Paul Hollywood, who's famous for the Great British Baking Show. It's a TV show that I watched a lot. So I made a plain loaf of bread that was edible. So my wife and the one child that's still in the house concur. So that was my weekend pastime.
Wow. Well, congrats. Good. Careful eating too much bread, though. Okay, Mr. Fred Thomas, you ever brag for us? Fred, are you? I think you're muted, Mr. Thomas. Going once.
Hello.
Hey, Fred.
How y'all doing today?
Well, fine. You ever brag for us today?
I'm doing good. Well, my brag, I'm good. I'm in the land of living. It's a good day. And Dr. Tamara.
Well, good to talk to you. Hey, Ben, did you ever figure out your video? I mean, your sound?
There we go.
Okay, Ben, I can't hear you. So something wrong.
That myself. I'm in my car. We driving.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Thanks, Fred. I think Brandon, you ever brag?
Not much. Just just living life, right?
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Something to said for that. And I saw Mr. Fred Beemendorfer. Fred, do you ever brag?
I don't think it's a brag. We have 2 crews that have the coronavirus, so we're kind of hamstrung right now. But anyway, just keep us in our prayers, please.
We can sure do that. Okay, Mr. President. Oh, there's Roxanne. Roxanne, do you ever brag?
Oh, well, we're very excited here. Our oldest, Isabella, all her team won the championship for swimming, and now they're going to regionals. So they got first place. So
Wow.
We're very excited here in the house.
Congratulations. And I think, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the first name right. I've got Shishimo. Did you ever brag?
Yes, my brag is thank you to the Lord that I'm alive and everybody's kicking, and let's keep it going.
Amen to that. Okay, I think, Mr. President, I've got them all, so it's back to you.
Hey, thank you very much, Mike. I do want to comment on a couple brags. Catherine talked about her husband teaching at Collin College. Our speaker next week is the president of Collin College, Neil Mackin. So tell Tuck to get online. And then also, I'm going to mention it. I'll mention it eventually. But yes, we have a new member application, Caitlin Jones, thanks to Courtney and Catherine. So yay, yay. All right. Well, next, what I wanted. Well, Benton, can you talk? He's supposed to be next online. Can you do the prayer in sign language for us? Tell you what, we're going to pass over you, and I'm going to say somebody who always loves, not that we're going to miss you, Benton, but we're going to get you next week. Hey, Fred, you want to do our opening prayer for us? Mr. Beemendorfer?
Sure. Would you bow with me, please? Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for the ability to reach out through Zoom to our friends and Rotarians. And we ask you to bless your thoughts Yes, you'll be with us, Fox, and inspire the things that will be done. We ask these things in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Fred. Next, I'd like to hand it over to Tom Posey, and you can lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir. Tom, you're muted.
Is that better?
Perfect.
Okay. Once again, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty for all.
Thank you, Tom.
Very good.
I am missing I can't get it off. I am having Zoom problems, people. And I'm going to turn this over to Glenn. But for some reason, I'm missing Glenn. Okay, here it is. Perfect. It's all yours, Glenn.
You're on mute.
Talk a few minutes about our annual fund. Over the last few So we've been going over Polio Plus Fund for donations to the Rotary Foundation over the last few months, and that's an important fund. Another very important fund is the annual fund, and that really helps support all of the grants, both international, district, and everything around the world. So it's a primary source for that. Anyone that donates to the annual fund, they obviously get credit for that. Their clubs get credit for it. All the stuff that Rotary's all about are 6 areas of focus, from water and disease and peace and education. All of those and all the things that are going on in those areas are almost all attributed to the annual fund and the ability to get grants out and make this stuff happen. So for our club, we've been doing this for the last few years, where we submit applications to get grants. So what we typically have done is 2 areas. One is RILA, it's called the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards. And that's training for kids, 18-year-old kids. And it's an amazing event, but unfortunately, this last year with COVID, we couldn't meet in person like we did in the past. So this year's applications are really going toward our scholarships. So as you know, we give scholarships out several, and it's for high school seniors going into college. And so typically we have been able to receive the max, which is $3,500 per year to go towards scholarships. And that's what we're going to push for this year. But the only reason we're able to do this is because we as a club and we as a district and we as Rotary worldwide give to the annual fund. What happens, it's a little complicated, but we give to the fund, and like 3 years later, half of that money comes back to the district, and the district can do whatever they want with it. And 3/4 of that goes to grants like we're getting. And the only way we can get the $3,500 is if per club, we give a certain amount per person. The district they want to give the clubs that give the most to the annual fund, give them the opportunity to get grants. And we've been fortunate enough to do this. Plano West Rotary, in several years now, have maxed out with that $3,500. So that's free money. So I encourage people to consider giving to the annual fund. You can put that up on Rotary.org. So it just takes out whatever you want a month, $25 a month, whatever it might be, 100, and you won't even miss it. And that all helps us, and it helps the community and the world. So if you have any questions, let me know, let Randall know about the foundation. Thank you. Back to you, Alex.
Awesome. Thank you, Glenn. to kind of round up what he just said, when we give to the Rotary Foundation, it's not just for international, even though it is used all over the world. You know, these district grants are what we use here in Plano. And so our club chooses to use them for our scholarship program and for Camp Ryla. But we can use it for other things, but those are things that we do consistently, and we greatly support the youth. So you're gonna see over the next few months, we're gonna be doing an outward campaign looking for the public to donate to the Rotary Foundation. So that way we as a club can contribute to that annual fund. So one, we can use it locally like we do, but then it also contributes to the global missions as well. And so you're going to see a lot of messaging on that. And then of course, we ask for members to do it. When we do the Paul Harris Fellow ceremonies, those are members that are personally giving. We have some other members that have achieved that. So all of that is for that common mission, global support with the Rotary Foundation, and then local as well. And a lot of people weren't aware that the Rotary Foundation does local work. And we specifically, Glenn was kind of, I don't know what you would call it, modest, but when he was president, he's the one to say, oh, here's a way that we can get district grants. And so it was what, 4 years now? I think that was the last time you were president. So our club has been qualifying for the district grant for the last 4 years in a row, and we're getting $3,500. And honestly, because our club was a lot smaller, we were getting more than we were giving, which is now with our larger size, we're gonna finally cross that threshold. But still, we're maxing it out because our per member giving is over the number that Rotary wants us. So go Plano West Rotary. And we are on track to even meet the number with our larger membership. So that's awesome because we just have a lot of givers, and we've had a lot of people in the public that have actually been given towards the Rotary Foundation, which is really fantastic. All right, well, what I want to do so we can hear what we're all really here is to hear our guest speaker. Can you guys see my slides up there? Okay, perfect, because I want to go through one. We have pets, as we know, it's called President-elect training, but anybody's invited. We're going to reimburse you. It's $50 a member to attend. It's over Zoom, over a bunch of nights. I know I have signed up. I think Zane has signed up. Has anybody else signed up for pets yet? Please do. I mean, it's great, 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 great training. I've done it a few times, probably more than I wish, but it's phenomenal because Rotary is constantly training. Zane has added 2 new seminar or technology tutorials on the website. So take a look at it. I think one was, Zane, tell them what they are real quick.
Yeah, my Rotary account is restricted to my Rotary information, for club information.
Now, the last one is key because everybody forgets what their club runner ID is. They're either contacting me or Glenn. Well, now Zane has created a video on how you can find out what your club runner ID is without calling Glenn. So yay, Glenn. And yay, Zane. Also, we're looking for board members. We're adding 4 new board members to the board. There's an online application. There's going to be an interview process towards the end of February. So if you would like to be involved in the decisions that direct our club and where we're going, please do. If you have a friend that you know is interested in leadership, even if they're not in the club, they can apply. Obviously, they're going to have to join the club, but going through the board of directors. Now, what we're not looking for is Rotary expertise. We're looking for leaders. We're looking for people that are going to look for the greater good of the club. Knowing the details on Rotary isn't necessary to be on the board. You're going to learn that. So don't get hung up on, I'm new. We want new. Actually, 3 out of the 4 positions, I would like to have newer members of the club because you represent our club. So it's very important that we get representation. Let's talk about our service projects. Selling pecans is coming to an end. That's the other way that we fund our scholarships. We're going to be giving out 3 $2,000 scholarships this year. We fund them in 3 ways: selling pecans, our district grants through the Rotary Foundation, and then contributions. We have some individuals that make contributions towards our scholarship fund. So the more we get, the more we could give. Last year we gave $10,000, 5 scholarships, and then we got another Rotary Club to donate a scholarship to another student. So we actually gave out 6 scholarships next year or last year. So if we can accumulate money, maybe next year we could give out more. But this year we're just doing 3 $2,000 scholarships. Lunches, cards for nursing homes. That's an ongoing project. Sign Up Genius, we're partnering with the Texas Healthcare Association. They provided us information for the Plano nursing homes. Sign it, pick a nursing home you want. We send you information on what to do. Basically, send them cards, write them letters, send them art, just to help the staff that works in a nursing home and then residents there. That's something we're doing all year. Every month, Carolyn, who's in charge of that, she's going to recap it so we can see how many people contributed and who sent information out to the nursing homes. Lunches for those in need. I believe that ends, you have to turn in your food today. Is that correct, Michelle?
No, that's next week. The Valentine one is today.
Oh, okay. So my chart is right. Okay. Pay attention to what I read. Yeah, what I wrote. Okay, so still sign up for Lunches in Need. Go on there. We partner with a nonprofit, Streetside Showers, who will be speaking to us soon, next month or so. And we make lunches at home. You either drop it off at Michelle's house. She'll provide it to the nonprofit. So when individuals use the showers, then they have a meal as well. So it's one of our many areas of supporting those in transitional housing or don't have homes. We also have our Valentine surprises for the lonely seniors. That ends today. So if you have anything to drop off, drop it off. You know your instructions. We do that today. On Saturday, we have our Avenue K cleanup. Woo woo! We moved it because Glenn suspected nobody wanted to do it with near freezing weather, which was probably right. I told him my wife would do it. She loves the cold, but he decided to, I'm joking, Laura hates the cold. she adamantly wouldn't go. So we moved it and to the 30th. So go ahead and sign up for that. That's always fun. And it's supporting Rotary's new area of focus, saving the environment. And so definitely sign up. It's an hour and a half easily. And obviously it's socially distanced safe because you're picking up trash on your own. One of the things I want to point out, which I didn't say here, Friday, everybody, is our club's 41st anniversary. Tom Posey, who is on the call, he's the man with the awesome hat, kind of to the side now. He founded our club 41 years ago on Friday. Now, this is what's amazing about that. One, awesome job, Tom. And I thought about it here because, so obviously, Tom started this club 41 years ago. He's more than 41 years old. He gets out there and picks up trash with us. So if you can have somebody who started a Rotary Club 41 years ago, he's greater than 80 years old, and he's out there picking up trash, nobody else on this call has an excuse. So don't be lazy. Don't tell us how tired you are and all that stuff. Get out there and save our environment, and you'll be following what the founder of the club was doing. Now, Eileen asked a very cool question of Tom, which I didn't even think about it. Tom said we had 37 members when we first started the club. That is amazing. That tells you that he went out and got a number of people. Like, that's just amazing because that's larger than the average Rotary Club today. And then also another question Eileen asked, she's like an interviewer here. She said, is there anybody else in the club that started? And Tom said no. Now, we were suspecting that Fred Beamendorfer would have been close. Fred, when did you get in this club? Are you still here? There you are, yeah. Your mic, turn your mic on.
December 1988.
88, and this club started in 80, so you were 8 years after, so you were the closest. So that's still pretty awesome. All right. So once again, it's our 41st anniversary. Yay, Tom. It's on Friday, actually. So a couple years ago, our club meeting was actually the day. And so we had a big celebration. Now to follow through, finally, people, finally, we have our meal delivery projects going. February 6th is the first day. There's a team that Roxanne is in charge of. There's a number of people on their team. They've been planning for the last month and a half. We finally got it taken care of. We have our food contract signed. We're going to be getting 1,500 meals twice a month, and we're going to be delivering in the morning at the Douglas community. And then in the afternoon, we're going to be doing a drive-through at the Barron Elementary School community. The Barron community has over 700 homes. That's going to be huge. We are, as you remember, we're partnering with Plano ISD School District. They're going to be notifying the other Title I schools in the area. So we're going to get more than Barron. And the reason why is we're going to have about 1,300 meals to distribute because Douglas only takes about 200 of them. So Plano ISD is looking for us to help take care of these families in need. And this is something that I understand we'll be doing for the entire 2021 year. And I think that's what the contract signed. So we're going to need 30 volunteers for Douglas, which we always did. We had more than 30. We need 50 for Barron. So, and that's because of the drive-through, just a whole configuration of it. So go ahead, look at the sign up for it. Start doing it. It's in two and a half weeks, or I guess 2 weeks, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So with that, those are our upcoming service projects. Now I am going to introduce our speakers. And so before I do that, oops, just to let you know, we have 2 guests from the State Department. And what I want to do is show a video that kind of highlights. So I find it, where is it? There we go. Now let's do this. Are you guys seeing we are? Perfect.
It's a wonderful and complex world out there, filled with challenges and opportunities. That's why America's diplomats with the U.S. Department of State are on the job every day, representing you. We are advancing America's foreign policy interests by uniting our allies, confronting our adversaries, and protecting our citizens. We advance democracy, human rights, global health, and more. We grow markets that create American jobs. We are America's first federal agency, and we're in 190 countries at over 270 U.S. embassies and consulates, serving you. We are the United States Department of State.
And with that great introduction, I would like to introduce Daniel Patarini. He is our guest speaker. And to kick it off, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, Dan?
Okay, well, thank you. I want to get as quickly as possible through the presentation that I have and to your questions. But first of all, I want to start by thanking you all for reaching out to the State Department and you know, wanting to know more about the work that we do, potentially, you know, who we are, although that video probably cost a bit of money to make and it was really good. I am delighted to be here. I will tell you that I think that the mantra about getting more out of things in life than you put into them is true for me in many ways, because just being with my fellow Americans and being with a club like Rotary, it gives me energy, and it makes me, again, proud to be a public servant and to be serving you all. And so I want to say thank you for that, because and for the work that you're doing in your community. I live in Alexandria, Virginia, when I'm stationed here, and you know, we're all in this together. I think this is an extraordinary opportunity to be together, although none of us would necessarily choose it. I don't know that I ever would have been able to get down there to see you all and speak to you. So there is a bit of a silver lining in this. We look for that optimism, and we look for those notes of hope in everything that we've got going on here. But it is interesting to see in my own life here, and the volunteer work that I do through my church, food insecurity and feeding people that are hungry. And you all you're doing that, and you're giving scholarships and things like that. So I commend you. My name is Dan. I've got a slide to tell you a little bit more about me. I was born in New York. I grew up in Southern Virginia. I am married. I've got 3 kids. So everybody that's got teenagers or kids about to go to college, I'm with you. I'm right there with you. I've got 2 in college. My oldest daughter is studying environmental engineering at Northeastern University. And my son just started this year in the midst of COVID as a freshman at the University of Cincinnati's College Conservatory of Music, studying musical theater. So I got an engineer and someone maybe will be on Broadway. We'll see. And then the youngest daughter is a sophomore in high school, and so she's just still trying to figure out this online learning and things like that. My wife is a teacher. I've been with the State Department for about 12 years, and prior to that, I worked in a nonprofit that focused on international education. I can ask or answer more questions about me at any point. It's really not about me. I really kind of want to get into the presentation. If Alex, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and share my screen and we can do that. I do a lot of presentations. My dad, when I got this job, my dad said to me, finally, a job where you get paid to talk. So that you have to be self-actualized in this world and know what it is that maybe you're gifted. My parents didn't always think it was a gift when I was growing up, but I think maybe they think that now. I don't know. So I get a lot of energy from, I'm an extrovert, as you can tell. I get a lot of energy from presenting, but I always try to get through the presentation quickly because it's really what is on your mind and what you want to know and what you know already and the experiences that you've had that bring sort of a fullness to the conversation. So with that, I'll share my screen. I promise you there's only maybe 8 slides or 9 slides. There's a couple that are pretty dense, but I'll go through them. I think they're just there for illustration. So let me see, share this. And can everybody see that? Just give me a thumbs up. You see, okay, good. So I'm going to start that slideshow, play from the start. There's my opening slide. Who's Dan? I've been a Foreign Service officer since January 2009. I served in 4 different countries: Oman, Egypt, Iraq, and Luxembourg. And you can see the connection there between all 4. Just kidding. And now I'm serving in Washington, D.C. I have a BA in political science and then a master's degree kind of in international relations, international development. There are a lot of different pathways into the Foreign Service. One typical one is a student or somebody who's really passionate about international affairs, history, world history, things like that. And that was kind of the path that I took. I told you about that. I do have a Labrador Retriever, so he's the youngest in the family. He's about 3 years old. And my main focus within the Foreign Service is public diplomacy, and I'll talk a little bit more about that throughout the presentation and in the Q&A. But it really means what it says. We have a group of people. We used to be the U.S. Information Agency, and in the late 90s, we were folded into the State Department proper. And so I am a Foreign Service generalist, but my focus is on public diplomacy. And that basically means 2 things: culture on one side and information on the other. So on the information side, you're dealing with the media, you're dealing with television, radio, traditional media, and social media, speeches, writing speeches. You're the spokesperson for the ambassador, possibly. On the culture side, it's really huge. We give grants as an organization, and we deal with music and the arts and education and English language. We deal with culinary diplomacy, sports diplomacy. So much of what makes America, a great nation and what enriches the world and allows us to enrich the world, we are able to do as a State Department through our cultural diplomacy programs. Now, I said public diplomacy. It's because we are looking to engage with foreign publics. We have folks in the embassy that their day-to-day job is to focus and do that bilateral, country to country conversation. But our public diplomacy officers are really there to reach out to the people of any country. And I find that personally tremendously rewarding, because you're able to have real conversations with people, I think in a way that that makes you realize that there's so many things that are common, but then also the things that America, that makes us unique, it makes us special, and what we can give to the world, and the fact that we are made up of so much of the world in terms of our population, where people come from, and our history. So I think that is it. Whoa, let me go back. My fun fact was, I just came from an assignment from 2016 to 2019. I was the public affairs officer at the U.S. Embassy in Luxembourg, and it's a much longer story, but I ended up with the ambassador joining the Prime Minister of Luxembourg. We ended up having lunch and then ice cream sundae afterwards. Now, in COVID times, you would never do this, but we split an ice cream sundae, and then he took the ambassador shopping for vests. So it's a funny story, one I never thought growing up, this might happen to me someday. So anyhow, these are some photos of my family interspersed with our travels around the world. And some are official photos and some are non, sort of like that's the number of suitcases that we show up with, what was when we arrived in Cairo. You can see the pyramids. My youngest was very unhappy that day because she was really hot. Over on the left-hand side right here, you can see that was Christmas of 2014. I was in Baghdad that year. And so we had a Christmas morning with my wife and my kids via Skype. So I don't think Zoom was a thing back then. Last year, we were lucky because we were in Luxembourg in 2019 and we got to go see the U.S. women win the Women's World Cup. So that was a huge benefit. There is my son with members of the Howard University Gospel Choir who came to Luxembourg and did 2 days of concerts. And so he was, as a singer himself, he was just blown away by them. So, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. I counted, there are 11 pictures there. So I am not going to do 11,000 words on this. It just gives you a little flavor of sort of where I've been and things I've done. A little bit, I'll just go through the State Department as a whole. And I'm drawing this directly from our online resources. And you can see the mission of the Foreign Service and the State Department is to lead America's foreign policy. And we are the platform, that to the world. And so the State Department is that platform overseas. We do two things. We advance foreign policy in the interest of America, and we protect American citizens. And so it's really, there's not one that's more important than the other. Ultimately, if you ask most State Department, most Foreign Service and State Department employees, the safety, security, and prosperity of Americans is really what we're concerned with. And overseas, safety and security is a major part of that. And so that's what we're there to do. The things that we as a State Department can do for our citizens overseas, smaller countries that maybe don't have the resources that we do, they can only dream of. We are able to provide so much assistance. We can't do everything all the time, but in many cases, we provide a ton of assistance to Americans overseas. And I could give examples of that if we get into that in the Q&A. What's our vision? So we are here to promote and demonstrate democratic values, advance a free, peaceful, and prosperous world. I don't think anybody can argue with that. Now, I'm just going to sort of address the elephant in the room. this doesn't mean that we go around the world saying that we're perfect. It absolutely doesn't mean that. And as a matter of fact, when we are humble and when we can show what America still struggles with, and show our resilience in that struggle, that is a very powerful tool for communicating who we are. And we spend a lot of time in public diplomacy kind of breaking down stereotypes that the rest of the world might have of the United States. You'd be surprised to know that there are a lot of people that think America is New York, Orlando, and LA, and that's what they know about the United States. And so that gives us a challenge, and it gives us an opportunity in many ways. This is one of those really dense. If you can't sleep tonight, just go through the State Department organizational chart. But it does have some rhyme or reason to it. The world is divided into certain geographic regions, and you see that over here on this political affairs side. But we also know that there are common issues for many people in every country in the world, and so you'll see that in sort of this area, like energy resources or oceans and international scientific affairs. So we have functional bureaus within the State Department. So this is just something to kind of start conversations. It seems complicated. We kind of have our own language. When you start the State Department, people will use lots and lots of acronyms and abbreviations, and you feel like you need a dictionary just to figure out what people are talking about. But that could be found in any large organization, to be honest with you. So a little bit about the State Department in terms of the number of people that we employ. Now, it seems like a huge number, 76,665. That's global. And if you look, a huge portion of that are local staff members in each of our diplomatic missions around the world. Only about 23,000, maybe 24,000 are US citizens, and that's the Foreign Service and the Civil Service. So I like to say that some of the greatest people that I've worked for or worked with in service to our nation are the local staff in many of the countries that I've worked in, who are dedicated to they're from that country, and we say they serve two countries because they're helping us to create better partnerships and better agreements and advance our interests, which we often think and believe that helps other people as well. So when we strengthen relationships between allies, we're often doing it with these 50,000 local staff members. In many cases, they are our local guards. So we are also being protected. And in certain unfortunate cases, these folks have given their lives to protect American diplomats and Americans serving at the embassy. So that's a bit about sort of who we employ, globally and the numbers, if you look at it there. But the vast majority are local staff that really help us do what we do. They have a lot of the knowledge that we might not have, and they have the connections and the expertise and the language skills well beyond what I think sometimes we're capable of, but they're really inspiring. The video said it. We have 276 diplomatic missions. That ebbs and flows. If we open a new consulate or a country, recently Russia said you close St. Petersburg, and so that goes back and forth. And we have diplomatic missions in 195 countries in the world. Now, what do I mean by diplomatic missions? And so it's very somewhat complicated in a way, but not really. Our embassy is always going to be located in the foreign country's capital city. And many of you may know this. So if you do know it, I do apologize. But that's where your embassy is always going to be. And your ambassador, who is the top US representative in that country, your ambassador will be resident at the embassy in the capital city. But we also know that many countries, many larger countries, and a few others that might surprise you, they're huge, and they have really important cities that may not be the capital city. So Brazil comes to mind. The capital city is Brasilia, but Rio and Sao Paulo are really, really important. So in those places, we have consulates or consulates general. I won't go into the distinction between the two of those because I'll probably mess it up. But basically, you can think of a consulate like the consulate in Shanghai, because our embassy is in Beijing, or the consulate in Rio, as like a satellite embassy. It's a way to describe that. All of the same things generally happen in that consulate, but the sort of the authority of the ambassador rests with the ambassador in the capital city at the embassy. So that's just a tiny bit, because people ask a lot, well, what's the difference between a consulate and an embassy? And so hopefully that helps you. And then the last thing on this slide, there are over 30 US government agencies that use the State Department in our facilities as their platform overseas. And this is the global nature of the world. And you would think, okay, Department of Defense, we got that. Department of Agriculture, because we have so many agricultural products that go around the world, that the Department of Agriculture has its own foreign service. But it even goes to the Library of Congress. Well, why is that? Well, the Library of Congress has one of the largest, if not the largest, holding of books and periodicals in the world. And you need people that are specialized in languages to intake those materials. So when I was in Cairo for 2 years, there were 50 plus employees of the Library of Congress that worked out of the US Embassy in Egypt, in Cairo. And their job was taking in all of the publications across the Middle East and cataloging them and summarizing, and then sort of getting them shipped off to the Library of Congress. So I use that as an example. I had no idea that the Library of Congress had staff overseas. In this case, most of those people were local staff, but there was 1 or 2 Americans that were assigned to sort of run the operation there. So that gives you a little bit of a flavor of the fact that we are the platform for tons and tons of US agencies. And we can take questions on that if you guys are curious. Domestically, we've got passport agencies and centers. So, you all might, hopefully everybody here has a passport. If you do, your passport was issued by the State Department. The bureau that I currently work for is the Bureau of Consular Affairs, and I'm helping them with sort of public affairs, but today is just a little bit larger. It's sort of Foreign Service, State Department 101. But we have passport agencies and centers. We have 28 or 29 of them all over the country. We have our main offices and headquarters in Washington, D.C., but we also have a mission in New York, our mission to the UN. Diplomatic security. These are federal agents that are part of one of our Bureau of Diplomatic Security. Domestically, they investigate visa and passport fraud, and they protect foreign dignitaries. So that's their primary function domestically. They work very closely with Joint Terrorism Task Force in large areas, because a lot of times international crime that we see, it's almost always that has some component of visa fraud or sort of some kind of something been done incorrectly with a passport, because they want to hide their activities or things like that. Overseas, the diplomatic security function is to secure and protect the embassy. So we have federal agents, so many of them have backgrounds in law enforcement or the military, who serve as our regional security officers. And their job is to just make sure that every US mission and all of the housing, the people that are overseas, my family and others, when we're representing the United States, that they're safe. In the United States, we also have the Office of Foreign Missions. There are several satellite offices there, and that is exactly what it says. This is the office within the State Department that takes care of all of the foreign diplomats that are accredited here. So, the license plates that they need, the issues with taxes, anything that comes to supporting them as they liaise with the State Department and with our country here. And then finally, we have diplomats in residence. And this is often, for those of you students in college, we have State Department, Foreign Service or Civil Service officers who are assigned to almost like a regional, on a regional basis. And their job is to really talk about diplomacy, talk about the Foreign Service, and really serve as sort of, you know, recruiters in a way to bring in the next generation of Americans who want to serve as U.S. diplomats and serve in the Foreign Service or work for the State Department. The Foreign Service, we have generalists and specialists. I'm a generalist. That means basically you're hired for your ability to kind of do lots of different jobs. So in Baghdad, I was the Environment, Science, Technology, and Health Officer. In Cairo, I was both the Assistant Cultural Affairs Officer 1 year, and then I was a Consular Officer. So I did visa interviews for people that wanted to come to the United States, either to move to the US or who were coming on short-term visas. Those were generalists, kind of serve in these, it means what it says, they're sort of generalists. Specialists are like I described to you, the diplomatic security agents are members of the Foreign Service, but they're Foreign Service specialists. We have doctors, we have psychologists, we have nurses, we've got couriers. We even have a whole group of people in the Foreign Service who are experts in construction. And the reason that is that we can't allow someone who's not an American with the top secret security clearance to be in charge of building our diplomatic facilities or renovating them. What happens there is, in certain countries, those facilities are built and they're filled with listening devices. And so we have people that are experts in construction that work for the State Department, members of the Foreign Service, who travel around and they essentially monitor building or renovating our foreign missions. We serve around the world in the United States. There's a rigorous selection process. When I started down this road, there were something like 50,000 people that took the Foreign Service exam. They whittled that down to about 2,500 people that they brought to the second stage. And that year they brought in about 600 or 700 people. So it's very competitive. I took the exam several times. So I passed a couple times, failed a couple times. When you pass, you're not necessarily in unless you get put on a list and you get rank ordered based on your score. But if they don't have jobs, if they don't get the funding for jobs and you're not high enough and you sit on that list, you have to start the whole process all the way over again. And that happened to me. So I was on the roster for 18 months. And then I got a letter that said, sorry, we didn't pick you. If you want to keep doing this, you've got to start all the way over. So luckily I was persistent. So in addition to talking a lot, that's another aspect of my personality. We have in the Foreign Service, we have what's called an upper out system similar to the military. We have rank and person. And so I have a commission. Actually, I'll tilt it to show you right there on the wall is my commission from the start of the Obama administration. And it's a commission in the Foreign Service. And so we have to retire at 65. We have to get promoted at certain intervals. Otherwise, you can only stay at a certain interval. It's very similar to, somebody told me it was modeled on the Marine Corps system. You only stay at a certain level for a certain period of time. And then if you don't achieve promotion, then you have to separate from the service. I think that's it. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot I'd like to share with you. I am sincere in telling you this. I'm nothing if not sincere. I will say that anybody that wants to follow up with me is welcome to do so. If there's a question that comes to you later on, you have anything you want to know, my email address, I just dropped into to everyone my email address. So I'll start with that. I will say that was probably about 10 minutes. I wasn't counting. I did my best. My wife would tell me, now you have to be quiet and listen. So happy to take questions.
Daniel, you are awesome. Unfortunately, we don't have time for questions.
Oh,
but we do have, I reposted his email in the everyone chat. What I want to say to you and Eileen, thank you very much for speaking to us. One of the things we do, we have to end right on time because a lot of people have to go to work and everything, but it was awesome hearing from you. And we could definitely go on. I could actually listen to you for a lot longer because I have a lot of respect for what the State Department does and what you've been doing. But one thing that we would like to do is we would like to present in your honor a certificate of appreciation for you and Eileen. And in appreciation for your time and program, Plano West Rotary will donate $10 in both your names to the Rotary's Polio Plus Fund, together with the 2-to-1 matching funds from the Bill and Melinda Gates. That $10 will turn into $30 to $40 actually. And then that will provide a polio vaccine for about 66 children. And as you know, what Rotary is doing for polio, we are transferring that infrastructure, and we're going to be part of delivering the vaccine for the corona vaccine to these third world countries and a lot of areas that you know that they're not getting it as easily as we are. So I do want to thank both of you for coming to our club. Let me,
Alex, if I may say one more thing. It really is the strength of our nation. It rests in an organization like yours. It rests with the American people. And it is the honor and privilege of my life to serve you all.
well, and we appreciate you serving with us, serving for us as well. What I want to remind everybody, what I'd like to do is ask Taha, you're going to lead us in the 4-way test. Take it away, my friend.
Okay. The 4-way test of things you think say or do. Is it true? Is it fit to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Rotary. Awesome. Well, I want to let everybody know next week we have Neil Matkin, president of Collin College. So I expect to see Tuck Goodwin on so we can hear his president speak. But thank you very much for attending, everybody. You guys have a great week, and email Daniel some questions because I know we have them. So bye-bye, everybody. Have a good one.
Hey, Dan, can I stay on and ask some questions?